To your right, the mighty Lancaster bomber. Watch and listen, only two left in the world, Rolls-Royce Merlin Packard engines. Built by the North American Aviation Company, yet another example of the B-25 bomber. Taking over bomber of World War II never designed to be able to get off. But how fitting the aircraft that the Mustangs were continually escorting all the way into the heart of enemy Germany. 12,731 of those aircraft came off. Juggernaut. The British carry a lot of things, but I don't think we used to carry them all. Yes, we did, because the 400 Mustangs were taken off. You get a one of the rarest airplanes in the world today is a B-38 Lightning. Pricey four-gear. And we'll tell you about the great results of that aircraft in World War II. In 1939, that twin-engine aircraft set a speed record of 390 miles per hour. How beautiful. People never take off with the canopy. 2,000 horsepower into those engines, and I want to say hello. Just scoot by at that P-40 Warhawk, 1,360 horsepower Allison B-12 liquid-cooled engine, and the B-38 Lightning. Now, one of the absolute best when it came to ground attack. You can take all the punishment with that big radial 2,800 engine, but they have a lot of firepower. Down low, really fast, straight to the German trains, trucks, anything it needed to. This was the blueprint of the Army soldier in Foxville. Built in 3 locations, Evansville, Indiana, Buffalo, New York by the Curtiss-Wright Company, and out on Long Island, where Rickenbacker Field is now part of South Hampton Airport. Major Candy Progressive was the base commander there in the reserves. I think we have more B-12 engines here than anything else in existence today. And that is the sound of the twin engines powering the B-38 Lightning, and the twin B-38 responsible for the highest scoring ace of World War II. Ace of World War II, they were Richard Ball and Tommy McGuire. You know, the P-47, it also was very capable of air-to-air missions. It just didn't have the range to go all the way to heart of Germany. So what they did, God is my co-pilot. It's about the Flying Tigers. They were taught tactics. Don't fight at zero in his arena. You fight it in your arena. Do what the Kurds do. And you also have a arena that used to cap out around 25,000 feet, and easily going up to 35,000 feet. And then with that engine as well, long-range bomber escort. I cannot emphasize that enough. Going on a daylight bombing range in a B-24 or a B-17, almost a suicide mission. So we went into this war training 186 an hour flight memory. Coming out with an average of 169 hours of very intense training in the air. Prediction. Yet in 1944, over 80,000 combat planes rolled off the assembly lines and headed for German and Japanese targets, and production was still accelerating. President Roosevelt's unbelievable prediction had been exceeded by 50%. You know who did that? No, it wasn't slave labor. It was Americans. Americans did that. The women, the females went into the factories. They wanted to get the men home. The way to do that is get the war machines out to them. She was based on a real character, Rose Will Monroe, who worked in one of Henry Ford's defense plants in Ypsilanti Township. That was the war poster that said, we can do it. Well, as our B-17 flying by, you see the top turn, the belly turn, of course, the tail goes to the west. You got to realize that they were flying those airplanes not in beautiful days like today, but the winter, the cold, the fog of England, at altitude, unpressurized.
Check it out.
The crews wearing insulated leather coveralls, electric heating speakers and boots, but still facing freezing temperatures day in and day out along with clouds. Now, as we see the Lancaster bomber coming by, now the Rolls-Royce Heat will open, flying right on target from that huge bombing, where in order to bust the enemy's dams that produce power for the war effort or the enemy, they would drop a bomb which would ricochet across the water, and hopefully that was their suicide mission. As it turned out, they were not that effective, but there is a movie called The Dam Buster that you need to rent or see. It shows how by using light, the came from two different sources on the airplane, and overlapping where the light hit the water. That was the correct. They would throw out a bomb much like a bowling ball. Hopefully, as you said, the Model 299, Danny, looks a little bit different. But really, of the 12,000 buses were built. We've got just a few left, so let's take a look as it has its bomb bay doors open, ready to deliver bombs on target. Well, Rob, we don't realize how lucky the Air Force was, because when Trump put out a contract for a new bomber, everybody assumed it was for a twin-engine medium bomber. Boeing engineers would make them out of the containers, thinking far ahead into the future, and they drew up the 299, a heavy 4-engine bomber. Without those two holding on the board, what might happen is the final result. You have a daylight bombing, your U.S. bomber pilot crew. Over 100 bases, I recall, in Great Britain, with landing fields of 5 or so thousand feet. Routinely, the B-17 to B-24 were taken off with gross weights beyond what they were designed. And yet, and with mainstream wristwatches, they were taken off into the clouds and trying to group up and form up over the English Channel. And just as the bombers were lost World War II in terms of field modification and factory modification. Some of them had as many as 18, as I recall, 50 caliber machine guns mounted. The ones we see here, the B-25 models, the most produced, about 4,800 as I recall, usually had 8 or 9 and 50 caliber. Keep up with the rest of the formation, whose strength came from the combined firepower. So as you had that strength, the low